What's going on, fish nerds? Just a quick live stream. I'm actually on my lunch break, so it's not going to be very long, maybe like 20 minutes that I'll be on here. But I wanted to go live, do a little bit of Q&A if anybody shows up, just because mostly I want to apologize that I don't have an edited video coming out today. It's running late. It's just been one of those weeks where I've had a ton going on and just haven't had a chance to do the editing yet. I do have it filmed. I just haven't had a chance to edit it yet, so I'm gonna do my best to try and get a video out to you guys tomorrow morning. But since I didn't have anything coming out today, I didn't want to just leave it hanging out there. I wanted to come on, go live here on my lunch break, and at least chat with you guys a little bit. Let me see if I can get the chat actually up. I see some stuff. This is my first time ever going live on my phone. I'm trying to figure this out. I can see chat pop up one at a time, but then they're not staying there. What happens if I do this? Whoop! Never mind. That don't work. So I've seen a few people pop up, but trying to figure out how do I see it. There we go. Well, maybe. Got Aquarium Cop, Gina Tucker. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce yours, Jay Gun. Sorry, but hey, glad you're here. But Ofik Brog, Turtle Gamer says, "How are your turtles?" I love the turtles. Turtles are doing good. They're hanging out over here. Hey V-Stag, Gary the Hut. I was actually at Gary's last night doing a fish room tour, so look for that next Friday. I was hoping to get it edited for today, but I wasn't able to get my editing done, so that'll be next week's video. So be looking forward to a fish room tour next Friday. I am going to try and get, like I said, I am going to try and get a video out tomorrow morning, but it's just been one of those weeks. So yeah, I don't have a topic for today other than to just say sorry that I don't have an official video coming out, at least not today. I'm gonna shoot for tomorrow. I'm gonna try, but yeah, if you guys have any questions or anything you want to see out here, Turtle Gamer says, "Awesome, I love your turtle setup. I'm getting a pond like that in my room soon." That's awesome. How are the crayfish? Crayfish are doing good. There's one hanging out back here. The garage door is an insulated garage door, yes. Fish Lover says, "Don't care if we get a vid as long as we get a live stream." Awesome. Nisi says, "Do you know the awesomest fish keepers hit the like button?" Oh, and her pupperoni did a study, so that makes it totally official. And if anybody knows how to get the chat to come up and stay up, let me know, because I don't know. I can't figure out how to get back to chats that have gone by. This guy's coming up to say hey. What is the practical way to sex the pleco? It depends on the species. Different species of plecos have different ways of telling the males and females apart. With the bristlenose plecos, it's pretty easy. The bristles that this guy's got all over his face means he is a guy. The girls may get, you know, a little bit of spikes around their lips or whatever, but they won't get those big old bristles all over their face like the males do. Hemicromus are doing good. The fry that were in the video a couple weeks ago did all end up getting eaten by guppies. So there are no more guppies in here. I think these guys are trying again. Do you know how to sex cories? Not well. I mean, I've heard other people talk about it, that, you know, different species of cories generally, I think one's a little bigger than the other, and Eric Bodrock in the talk that Corey from Aquarium Co-op put up a couple weeks ago or a week or two ago, he was talking about, you can look at the finnage, and generally the male's fins will be a lot more pointed and distinct, whereas the female's fins will be more kind of rounded off. South Florida says those jewels are going to take over once they start breeding. They don't stop. I would be okay with that, man. I would be okay with that. I love these fish. And what do you guys think? I'm thinking about getting an African butterfly fish for the top half of this tank, since they generally stay around the surface and most likely wouldn't bother any of the fry. Turtle Gamer says, what made you get into fish? I was like 8 or 9, something like that. Sagoon, yes, those are jewel cichlids. They're not the common jewel cichlid, but they are a species of jewel cichlid. But I was like 8 or 9, and my aunt actually gave us this tank, this 30-gallon tall, and gave us the tank and the gravel and stuff that came with it. It had like bright blue gravel and all that, and gave us a book that had a bunch of different species profiles and different types of fish, saltwater, freshwater, cichlids, and had them all grouped in community fish and everything. And I would go through and I would read about the nitrogen cycle, and I'd read about the different kinds of fish and which ones can go together and which ones can't and all that. And I just totally nerded out on it and fell in love with it, and I've been keeping tanks ever since. Sorry, I've seen messages scroll by, but I can't. Oh, here we go. I figured out how to get the chat to come back up. I just had to scroll on the screen. There we go. Now I can actually go back and see if there's any questions in here. The Ultimate says, what's up, fish nerd? Life happens. Yep. How are you? I'm doing good. Turtles, we saw that one. Fish Lover says, do a video on your turtle setup. I'm pretty sure I've got one out there, but I can do another one, potentially. Give an update. We looked at the crayfish, insulated garage door. Gary says you have room. Gary wants to give me this big old, he went to a pet shop that was closing out its marine section or something, and he bought these awesome systems but it's a huge 4-foot long 320-gallon sump that's got a stack of tanks on top of it. But Gary, I'm telling you, man, from here to here is about 3 foot. There's no way in the world those things would fit in here. This looks bigger on screen than it does in person. I'm telling you, bro, that setup would not fit in there. I'd have to rearrange this whole room in order to get that system in here. And I can't move I can't get rid of the Xbox setup, because then, you know, I wouldn't be allowed to live here anymore, because my wife likes to play Xbox even more than I do. No, I could still live here. My wife wouldn't kick me out over Xbox, but either way. Lost my spot. Nisi says, lurkers unite. Talked about the plecos. Fish are calming to watch, so are turtles. Totally agree, totally agree. It says, I've just started to breed guppies. Can you please give me some tips? For the guppies, well, that's a lot of algae. They're fairly easy and low maintenance to breed. As far as personalized tips, make sure you have plenty of hiding places for the fry if you're going to keep them all in the same tank. Because they will eat their own fry and each other's fry. But as long as they've got hiding places, like I've got all this hornwort in here and all this algae and stuff, where they've got a place where they can go. And feed them a lot. Live bearers do like a lot of food for breeding and for growing, especially if you want to grow your fry out quicker. If you feed them multiple times a day instead of just gut loading them once a day. Several smaller feedings so that they're constantly eating. Yeah, it's pretty easy to breed guppies. And make sure you have more females than you have males. Got some down here too. I really like her. I'm pretty sure she's going to end up in breeding stock. Fish Nation, the strain of these guppies, they were sold to me as platinum ivory blue mosaic half moon guppies. But as far as their coloring and stuff, they haven't really been breeding true, so I've been, as far as culling, I say culling, but I mean just removing from my breeding colony a lot of different ones that aren't the colors I want, and only breeding with the ones that are the blue and mosaic, and the rest I've been selling or giving away to family. Are guppies compatible with crayfish? With the Mexican dwarf crayfish, I would say yes, as long as the guppies don't have such big fins and stuff that they can't get away from the crayfish, because the crayfish will latch on to long flowing fins. But the guppies wouldn't bother these crayfish. With larger species of crayfish, like your regular, like your electric blues and things like that, I would say no, because those are going to eat your guppies. These guys won't eat your guppies. They might mess up their fins if the guppies aren't careful, but the larger crayfish would eat guppies, yes. We talked about the jewels. Turtle Gamer says I'm on an hour of sleep. Yeah, you don't feel obligated to stick around here. Go get you some sleep, man. Hello from Texas. Hey, Mark. Glad you're here. Fish Lover says, yeah, do an updated setup. Okay. Turtle Gamer says, one more before I go. Will you ever get jellyfish? I'm not sure, but I've never done saltwater. I do plan on eventually, someday, one day, doing saltwater. But chances are when I go saltwater, jellyfish will not be the first things I keep. Are you shipping super red bristlenose? Yes, those are listed on my website, and I have shipped them. Gary the Hut says blue snails coming back. Yes, eventually. However, I need to get a different colony going. Most of you guys, if you've been around, you know that this tank had been overrun with the blue snails, but then they started having, the calcium issue because I had so many of them and their shells weren't doing so great. But now that these guys have been in here for a little while, I've noticed they've been eating them. they've been wiping them out. You see all these empty snail shells because these guys have just been tearing them up. So I don't have near as many, and I need to get them going real good in another tank. Some of these tanks do have a lot of ram's horns in them, but they're not the blue. But I do have some down here in this tank. But I definitely need to get the population built back up. South Florida African cichlids and more says, love the hornwort. Thank you. I like it a lot too. I like how it's taken over in this tank. I'd like to get it to do the same thing down here as well. What root tabs, if any, do you use in your planted tanks? The 55 in the living room, I have used the Seacom Flourish root tabs in there for my Amazon sword and for my Crypt Wenty eyes. Your guppies are beautiful. Thank you very much. Why is my driftwood giving a bad smell? I'm not sure on that one, man. I've never gotten anything but a wood smell off of my driftwood. You might have a bad piece of wood that might be rotting or something. Dank tanks in the house. Having white fungus like things on driftwood, is it bad? A lot of times when you add driftwood, especially if it's like the spiderwood can be real bad for it, but when you add it to the tank, a lot of times when it's been freshly added, it'll grow a lot of white fungus on it, but generally that's harmless, and even things like shrimp and things will actually eat that fungus right off of it, and it doesn't last long and it goes away. Angelo's Fish Tanks, what's up? Says, hi everyone at work, sorry can't stay, have a great stream, much love to you, Angelo. And I'm actually on my lunch break right now, so I'm gonna have to cut this off in a couple minutes myself. Oh, there's a pleco coming out. She's kind of claimed this little cave back here behind the driftwood, and either goes back in that cave or hangs out right there on that rock, and that's kind of her spot that she's claimed here in the crayfish tank. How long can you keep plants in the plastic container before planting it? If you're referring to this, those little slotted black plastic containers that have the flossy material or whatever around the roots, you can bake most plants. You can kind of leave indefinitely in those as long as they're in your tank, and eventually the roots will actually start to grow out of those little pots, and some things like sage and things like that will actually start propagating throughout the tank through those pots. DPK says, hi Carlos and everyone here this morning. What's up, Carlos? Carlos to Carlos, what's going on, man? I'll show you guys the shrimp here real quick before we sign off. These guys are kind of all dispersed all around back the sponge filter back there. The Ultimate says, yes, slotted pot with rock wool, buying plants for a 180. I'm setting up and would prefer to leave the plants in the pots instead of planting and then replanting. Thanks for the info. Yeah, that should be just fine. Should be just fine. I mean, for that matter, that's how Corey at Aquarium Co-op, they do that with their plants. They leave them in the pots and let them go from immersed growth to submerged growth before they ship out and all that. DBK says, doing good, been up all night, enjoying all the streams and trying to catch up on videos. Man, have you been up all night? You haven't been to bed yet, dude? Jagan, I'm sorry for butchering your name. I'm just gonna call you Jagan. But it says, sorry man, I have an exam tomorrow, can't catch up, have a great stream. All right, man, good luck on the exam. And we got the Fantasy Blues hanging out over here. They generally stay back in the back half of the tank unless I feed. Whoa, DPK, no sleep yet, 29 hours and counting. Go to bed, dude. YouTube ain't that important. All right. All right, guys, so that's what I mean, just a quick stream. Just wanted to sign on and give you guys at least something today. I didn't want to leave you totally without, and especially, you know, just to let you know, I'm not quitting YouTube. It's just videos running a day late because I haven't had time to edit. So thanks, guys, for coming and hanging out. You guys are awesome. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow morning. God bless you. We'll see you next time.